You know, before this trip to New York City, it had been almost 45 years since I'd been on any kind of a short-term mission trip. But just going out there and looking for people and trying to seek God's leading as to who He had scheduled divine appointments with me to meet. And we had many of those. Walking through parks, seeing people sitting on park benches, some of them watching young kids play, some of them retired people that's how they spend their lives now, and just engaging with them in conversation, getting to know them. A lot of times they would ask, why was a guy from Fort Wayne, Indiana walking the streets of New York? And that would give me the opportunity to tell them I was here to share Jesus with people. And we would get into spiritual conversations. Two that really particularly is still very fresh in my mind. One afternoon, Jenny Schrock and I were walking down the sidewalk after we had left a park where we thought our main ministry would be, and we had some ministry there. We encounter a gentleman who's out walking 4 little dogs. And, we just start talking to him, petting the dogs, having a good time, and come to find out as we're talking to him that the man belonged to a fairly liberal church. He had just recently left homosexual lifestyle, and he was really searching, wanting, some spiritual growth to help him with that decision. And the response at the church he was going to was, why did you do that? Why'd you leave that lifestyle? And he was looking for somebody to help him with this decision. And we were able to help connect him with local people with International Project, who then connected him with a local strong Bible teaching ministry to help him grow in his newfound faith and his desire to leave a homosexual lifestyle. So just the privilege of being used by God with that. Another time, I was out with Jessica Rivers, and we had just finished eating. It was raining, so we were under cover a little bit. I took our trash, walked a few feet to put it in a trash can, and then we were going to go into a shopping mall and look for divine encounters in there. In the few seconds that it took me just to stand up and put that trash in the trash and turn around again, there is an Oriental woman sitting where I had just been set, and she and Jessica are engaged in conversation. I'm like, how did that happen in about 10 seconds? And that was a God thing. She had just come in from the rain, sat down. She was a young lady, originally from South Korea, had been in the United States for 12 years. And in that 12 years, nobody had ever shared about Jesus Christ with her. She was an open book. She was very polite. She was very appreciative that we were taking the time to interact with her and talk to her about spiritual things. She had a teenage daughter. She shared with us her cell phone number. So again, she could be followed up by text, phone with people there in Queens, New York for further spiritual development. And that for me, encounters with people in Central Park. It was just such a refreshing time to be there again, not as a tourist, not for business purposes, but there specifically to look for opportunities to share about Christ. One of the things we learned in our training in New York City was to set our alarms on our cell phones to 10:10 a.m. At 10:02 a.m. every day, my alarm comes off, and that prompts me to remember Luke 10:10. That the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. Lord, please send people out to reap the harvest. And so that reminds me every day at 10:02 a.m. to remember my New York trip and look for opportunities to share Christ with people here in Fort Wayne today.